Elon Musk sat at the defense table, his fingers laced together, an almost amused expression on his face. The grand courtroom of the California Supreme Court was packed with media, legal experts, and curious onlookers, all eager to witness the high-profile case that had gripped the nation. The lawsuit against Musk was the result of a bitter legal battle brought forward by an obscure regulatory group, one that had suspicious ties to some of Tesla's biggest competitors. The claim that Musk had manipulated stock prices with reckless tweets and ignored regulatory requirements. The penalties? Billions in fines and, if the prosecution had its way, possible jail time. The presiding judge, Richard Caldwell, was a man known for his rigid courtroom demeanor, but also for his questionable ethics. Rumors had circulated about his ties to corporate lobbyists and shadowy figures within the financial industry. And today, in front of the entire country, he had Musk exactly where he wanted him. Caldwell leaned forward, peering down from his elevated bench. His face twisted into a sneer as he tapped his gavel against the wood. "Mr. Musk," he began, his voice dripping with contempt, "do you think you're above the law? Do you believe that your billions allow you to make a mockery of this courtroom?" Murmurs rippled through the audience. Musk remained calm, adjusting his tie. "I believe in the law, Your Honor," he replied, his voice even. "I also believe in due process. But I can't help but notice a rather aggressive tone coming from the bench today." Caldwell's eyes narrowed. "Watch your words, Mr. Musk. I won't tolerate insolence in my courtroom." The prosecution lawyer, a smug-faced man named Kenneth Reynolds, smirked as he stood. "Your Honor, it's clear that Mr. Musk has no respect for these proceedings. His constant disregard for regulations and his—" Musk raised a hand, cutting him off. "Excuse me, counselor, but did I miss the part where I was convicted of something? Because last time I checked, we were still in a trial, not a sentencing hearing." The gallery chuckled, but Caldwell immediately slammed his gavel. "That's enough. If you interrupt again, I'll hold you in contempt." Musk tilted his head, observing Caldwell carefully. Something was off. The judge's aggression, his overt hostility, it was too personal. Almost as if he had a stake in the outcome. That's when Musk noticed something. The judge's left hand trembled ever so slightly, his fingers tapping anxiously against the bench. A subtle tell. It wasn't rage. It was fear. Musk's eyes flickered toward his attorney, a sharp-witted woman named Valerie Carter. She met his gaze, and in that instant, Musk knew she had seen it too. This case wasn't just about punishing Musk. It was about something much bigger. Something deeper, and Elon Musk was going to get to the bottom of it. Musk sat back in his chair, the faintest hint of a smirk playing on his lips. He wasn't just on trial, he was being set up. And now, he needed to figure out by whom. Judge Caldwell leaned forward again, his voice laced with disdain. "Mr. Musk, your arrogance knows no bounds. Do you believe that simply because you are a billionaire, you can challenge the court's authority?" Musk met his gaze unflinchingly. "No, Your Honor, but I do believe the court should be impartial." The room went silent. A few reporters exchanged glances, sensing something deeper at play. Valerie, Musk's attorney, shifted slightly, signaling that she was about to step in. "Your Honor," she began, her voice crisp, "we'd like to request a review of the financial records pertaining to this case. Specifically, any communication between this court and the regulatory agencies pushing for this lawsuit." The moment she said it, Caldwell's expression darkened. "That request is denied," he snapped far too quickly. "This court will not be subjected to baseless accusations by a reckless billionaire and his legal team." But Musk had caught it, the flicker of panic in the judge's eyes. He was hiding something. Valerie, unfazed, pressed forward. "Your Honor, with all due respect, that information could be relevant to proving bias against my client." Caldwell banged his gavel aggressively. "Enough! I will not have this court used as a stage for Musk's delusions. Consider this your last warning." At that moment, Musk's phone vibrated subtly under the table. He glanced down briefly. A message had appeared on the screen from a secure contact. "We have something. Check your email." Musk didn't react outwardly, but he knew exactly what was happening. His team, his real team, the investigators, the cybersecurity experts, had been digging deep, and now it seemed they had found something. Caldwell, however, was still talking, still playing his role as the overbearing enforcer of justice. If you continue to disrupt these proceedings, Mr. Musk, I will find you in contempt of court. Musk let a small, knowing smile cross his face. I wouldn't do that if I were you, Your Honor. Caldwell froze. Excuse me? Musk leaned forward slightly, lowering his voice just enough to make the moment feel intimate, but the microphone still picked it up. I think we both know, Musk said softly, that you're compromised. Gasps echoed through the courtroom. Caldwell's face drained of color, his fingers tightening around his gavel. You're out of line, Mr. Musk, the judge hissed. Musk shrugged, his confidence unwavering. Maybe, but let's see what the evidence says. Then he turned toward Valerie, giving her a small nod. She understood immediately. Your Honor, we would like to formally enter into evidence a report that we just received, Valerie said, stepping forward with a printed document in hand. This report contains financial transactions that indicate direct payments made to offshore accounts connected to. Bang! The gavel slammed down so hard the courtroom flinched. I said enough. Caldwell roared, his voice now barely concealing his fury. This trial is adjourned for the day. Court is dismissed. He stood up so quickly his chair nearly toppled over, and without another word he stormed out of the courtroom. Musk exhaled slowly, watching the judge retreat. The game had just changed. He turned to Valerie and murmured under his breath, find out where he's going. We're about to take this whole thing down. And just like that, the trap began to close around Judge Caldwell. The moment Judge Caldwell stormed out, the courtroom exploded into chaos. Reporters scrambled to analyze what had just happened. Some speculated Musk was bluffing. Others whispered that the billionaire might have just uncovered something massive. Musk, however, wasn't wasting any time. As he and Valerie exited the courthouse, a black Tesla Cybertruck pulled up. The back door swung open, and inside sat Xavier Lin, Musk's top cybersecurity expert. A former intelligence analyst turned corporate watchdog, Xavier was the man Musk trusted to dig into digital skeletons. Musk slid into the back seat. Talk to me. Xavier handed him a tablet, the screen glowing with rows of financial transactions. It's bad. Caldwell's been getting direct wire transfers from a shell company registered in the Cayman Islands. And guess who owns that shell company? Musk scanned the report, his eyes narrowing. Let me guess, one of my competitors. Bingo. Xavier tapped the screen, pulling up another document. The company traces back to Argon Enterprises, a firm with deep ties to auto industry lobbyists. More specifically, their lead investor is none other than Lawrence Kessler, CEO of Volterra Motors. Musk exhaled sharply. Volterra Motors, Tesla's most aggressive rival in the electric vehicle space. Kessler had spent years trying to undercut Tesla's dominance, often resorting to underhanded tactics. So Kessler's been funneling money to Caldwell, Musk muttered, rubbing his chin. And in return, Caldwell pushes a legal case to cripple me. Xavier nodded. It's worse than that. The payments started 3 months before the lawsuit was even filed. This case was rigged from the start. Valerie, who had been listening intently, leaned forward. This is corruption at the highest level. If we expose this, Caldwell isn't just losing his seat, he's going to prison. Musk thought for a moment, then smiled. Perfect. Let's make sure that happens. The Cybertruck pulled away from the courthouse and into traffic. Meanwhile, Musk's team had already begun tracking Caldwell. A voice crackled through the car speakers. It was Thomas Grayson, Musk's head of private security. We've got eyes on Caldwell. He left the courthouse in a rush, no security detail. Headed toward an underground parking garage near downtown. Musk smirked. Let me guess, he's meeting someone. Looks like it, Grayson replied. Unmarked sedan waiting for him. Dark-tinted windows. No plates. Valerie frowned. He's panicking. He knows we're onto him. Musk tapped the screen of his tablet, pulling up the live feed from the security team's drones. The grainy footage showed Caldwell stepping into the dimly lit garage, glancing over his shoulder before approaching the sedan. A man stepped out, tall, suited, face mostly obscured by shadows. Enhance that, Musk said. Xavier tapped a few keys, and the image sharpened. Valerie sucked in a breath. Is that Kessler? It was. The CEO of Volterra Motors had just met with the very judge overseeing Musk's trial. Musk grinned. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we just caught our corrupt judge in the act. Musk turned to Xavier. I want audio. Can we tap in? Xavier's fingers flew across the tablet. Already ahead of you, the drone picked up their conversation. It's a little distorted, but I can clean it up. A few moments later, the audio played through the car's speakers. Kessler's voice. You need to shut this down. Musk's team is sniffing around. Caldwell. I'm trying, but he's making it impossible. He knows something. Kessler. Handle it, or you'll regret it. The sound of a car door slamming. Tires screeching. The sedan sped away, leaving Caldwell standing there, visibly shaken. Valerie's eyes widened. That's enough to bury them both. Musk chuckled. Oh, we're not done yet. We're going to make this public in the most Musk way possible. He pulled out his phone and tapped out a tweet. Musk turned to Xavier. I want audio. Can we tap in? Xavier's fingers flew across the tablet. Already ahead of you, the drone picked up their conversation. It's a little distorted, but I can clean it up. A few moments later, the audio played through the car's speakers. Kessler's voice. You need to shut this down. Musk's team is sniffing around. Caldwell. I'm trying, but he's making it impossible. He knows something. Kessler. Handle it, or you'll regret it. The sound of a car door slamming. Tires screeching. The sedan sped away, leaving Caldwell standing there, visibly shaken. Valerie's eyes widened. That's enough to bury them both. Musk chuckled. Oh, we're not done yet. We're going to make this public in the most Musk way possible. He pulled out his phone and tapped out a tweet. Breaking. When a corrupt judge tries to take you down, but you have receipts. Stay tuned. Winking face #justice. The moment the tweet hit the internet, the world went into a frenzy. But for Caldwell and Kessler, the nightmare was only just beginning. Elon Musk's tweet sent shockwaves through social media. Within minutes, hashtags like #CorruptJudgeCaldwell and #ElonExposesFraud trended worldwide. News outlets scrambled for updates. Legal analysts speculated on the implications, and public outrage surged like wildfire. But while the world reacted, Musk was already preparing his next move. In his private office at Tesla's headquarters, he sat with Valerie, Xavier, and Thomas Grayson, his security chief. The atmosphere was electric with tension and anticipation. Xavier tapped on his laptop. The press is eating it up. We've already leaked the transaction records anonymously to multiple news sources. By tomorrow morning, every major network will be covering this. Valerie nodded. That's good. But we need more than just public outrage. We need action. Musk smirked. Oh, we'll get action. You think a corrupt judge is scary? Try the Department of Justice and the FBI knocking on your door. He turned to Thomas. Where's Caldwell now? Thomas checked his phone. We've been tracking him since he left that garage. He went straight to his house in Beverly Hills. And guess what? He's not alone. Xavier pulled up the live security feed from a discreet drone hovering outside Caldwell's mansion. The footage showed the judge pacing in his lavish living room, his face pale with stress. Across from him, a man sat calmly, sipping a glass of whiskey. Lawrence Kessler. Musk leaned back in his chair. They're scrambling. Good. Valerie crossed her arms. We have all the proof we need. If we take this to federal prosecutors, it's game over for them. Musk grinned. Let's go a step further. Let's make sure they know what's coming. He pulled out his phone and dialed a number. Who are you calling? Valerie asked. Musk winked. A friend. The call connected. A deep, authoritative voice answered, Musk. I was expecting your call. It was none other than U.S. Attorney General David Larkin. By morning, it was all over the news. The Justice Department had launched an official corruption investigation into Judge Richard Caldwell. The footage of Musk's legal team presenting the evidence to federal prosecutors played on every major network. Headlines read, Judge Caldwell caught taking bribes from corporate lobbyists. Elon Musk exposes corruption in explosive courtroom battle. FBI raids judge's home, criminal charges imminent. Caldwell's mansion was surrounded by black SUVs, federal agents pouring inside with search warrants. News helicopters circled overhead, capturing every moment. As the FBI stormed his house, Caldwell, dressed in his expensive robe, was seen being escorted out in handcuffs, his face a picture of utter defeat. Minutes later, Lawrence Kessler was arrested at his corporate headquarters. Volterra Motors stock plummeted as the board scrambled to distance themselves from the scandal. Inside his office, Musk leaned back in his chair, watching the live coverage on TV. Valerie exhaled, shaking her head in disbelief. "I can't believe we pulled that off." Musk smirked. "Never bet against me." The case against Musk was immediately dismissed. Caldwell was facing multiple felony charges and Kessler's entire empire was crumbling. As Musk picked up his phone to tweet his final response to the whole saga, he simply wrote, "Play stupid games, win stupid prizes." The internet went wild. Justice had been served. The world watched as Judge Richard Caldwell was hauled into a black FBI SUV, his once powerful presence reduced to that of a disgraced criminal. Across town, Lawrence Kessler, the billionaire CEO of Volterra Motors, was escorted out of his corporate headquarters in handcuffs, his face grim as reporters shouted questions he refused to answer. Musk, meanwhile, was exactly where he liked to be, one step ahead. Sitting in his office at Tesla, he swirled a glass of sparkling water while watching the news play out on a massive screen. Valerie and Xavier stood nearby, phones buzzing nonstop with calls from journalists, investors, and government officials. "I don't think they saw that coming," Xavier said with a grin. Valerie smirked. A federal corruption scandal wasn't exactly on their agenda for the week. Musk leaned forward, setting down his glass. "Now, let's make sure this doesn't happen again." The next morning, Musk took to Twitter once again. "Corruption in the legal system is a disease. Time to cure it. I'm launching a new initiative, full transparency in corporate lobbying and judicial oversight. Stay tuned. Rocket." The tweet instantly went viral. But Musk wasn't just making noise, he had a plan. Within weeks, he announced a multi-million-dollar independent watchdog organization designed to expose corruption in corporate lobbying, judicial misconduct, and backroom deals that undermine democracy. It was called Project Ironclad, a relentless force of investigators, AI-driven data analysis, and transparency advocates. Governments took notice. Regulators panicked. Corporate elites whispered nervously. Musk had just changed the game again. Months later, Judge Caldwell stood trial for bribery, conspiracy, and obstruction of justice. His career, reputation, and freedom were all gone. The once feared judge now sat in the very defendant's seat he had once presided over. The prosecution's case was airtight. Thanks to Musk's team, the financial records, wire transfers, and recorded conversations all pointed to a blatant corruption scheme. The jury took only 3 hours to return a verdict, guilty on all counts. Caldwell was sentenced to 25 years in federal prison. As for Lawrence Kessler, Volterra Motors collapsed under the weight of lawsuits and federal investigations. The company's board ousted him and he faced massive legal penalties. His days as an industry titan were over. Musk? He didn't just win the case, he rewrote the rules. On the day of Caldwell's sentencing, Musk posted one last tweet. "The system tried to break me. Instead, we broke the system. Collision." And just like that, history was made.